Hello. Welcome back to my channel and happy new year. This year, we're going to try something a little different. I want to merge my passions a little bit and share that with you. I love to cook, as I told you, and I own a catering company. So every once in a while, we're going to get in here in the kitchen and you're going to tag along with me as I prepare lunch for my kids. Today, we're making a white rice with chicken and veggie stir fry for them. But also, since this is the new year in this episode, we're going to be talking about what my goals are, how I am pursuing God differently this year, what the things that I feel like God has revealed to me for this upcoming year. And I am so excited that you are here so we can cook and chat. I pray that you really enjoy this episode, and I pray that my passion for cooking really comes through. Too bad I won't be able to send you a sample, but I promise you it's gonna be pretty good. So let's get right to it, right? So I have my chicken here. I already put everything kind of out so we can make this quick. So I already have my chicken, which we're gonna season together, chop the veggies. We're gonna go through the whole process. But also in this new year, right? In this new year that I am starting off with God. I'm so grateful for last year because I feel like last year God taught me so many new things, right? Last year, as I started 2025, I had goals that I had for myself. I had things that I really, really wanted to do. And as we often do, right? Everybody starts the year off with, I want to lose a certain amount of, I can even tell you. So last year, I wanted to lose, I think somewhere around like 60 pounds. I ended up losing like 35. So I'm still working on the rest of it. It's coming off this year. I promise you. I'm already going at it again. So last year I wanted to lose 35 pounds. I especially wanted to have my finances in a specific place, but also something that I did in 2025 was I dedicated the year to God last year. And I said, God, based upon something he had told me before, he said, try it with me, right? I struggled with inconsistency and doing the right activities. And I had this internal rhetoric in my mind that I was never going to change. I was always going to be a failure. I was always going to be unworthy. And even if I started a new initiative, it was just never going to go anywhere because at the part where I had to deliver, I wasn't going to be able to deliver. And for the long time, I believed that rhetoric, right? And my life reflected that. Last year, or the year before, God said, try it with me. And so last year I said, God, I'm giving you the year and I want to see what you're going to do with the year when it's in your hand. Let me tell you, friends, I was blown away. By the end of the year, now we're gonna clean this up a little bit. So by the end of the year, I was absolutely blown away, right? Because it's one thing to tell God I'm going to give you control of the year, and then it's a completely different thing to actually see what he does with that control. And when I walked away from the end of like 2025, one of the things that I realized was that if we give God control, he really does take control and he does something amazing with it, right? So I did lose the weight, right? I was more in my Bible than I had been ever. Like I was studying my Bible like I should have been. I was reading my Bible more often. I wasn't perfect, but one of the things God did for me last year was get me out of that space where I'm looking for perfection, right? That space that kept me bound for so long, where it's like I would not want to do certain things only because I hadn't done it perfectly, okay? That had been the way I was. So I would start something, and then when that thing didn't work out, I would stop because it wasn't done perfectly. Letting God lead me last year, every single time I wanted to stop, he said, no, just work on your recovery time, right? Just work on your recovery time. Don't stop. Perfection is not the key here. Consistency is. And not only that, he showed me that consistency doesn't mean that I have to continually keep going, which is the ultimate goal, but consistency is managing the breaks in between, right? If you're like me, you've had moments where you started and wanted to do the right thing and you didn't do it. And then you're like, oh, I'm a complete failure. No, managing the time in between breaks. Okay, I fell this time, but I'm going to get back up. All right. So he's teaching me throughout the year, and I'm learning. So with God being in command and control, he showed me that, listen, girl, it's okay. It's okay to fall as long as you get back up. And not only is it okay to fall as long as you get back up, when you get back up, I'm right there. And that was so important for me because I used to always beat up myself thinking that every single time I failed, somehow, some way, God was not in that picture, right? Somehow, some way, God was mad. Somehow, some way, God had left. And God showed me, listen, yet no, I'm still here. I'm still going to carry you through. So I'm excited to start this new year because everything that I felt like God had taught me last year, I get to bring into application this year. And so this year, God told me again, we talked about how before he told me do it with me, right? And I consecrated the year to God. This year, God said, listen, girl, listen. How about instead of you trying to put your own goals in place, how about we start the year aligned, right? Aligned with me. How about you seek me for what I want for you this year instead of you trying to figure out what you want for the year? Because one of the things he taught me again was I do not have the responsibility to carry out what you say. I have the responsibility to carry out what I say. So wouldn't it make sense if before we even started a new year, before we started a new project, before we did anything, we just asked the Lord, hey, what is it that you want me to do here? And how is it that you want me to do it? And so this year, that's why we're talking about today being aligned with God, because a lot of us are frustrated at the end of the year. Why? Because we want the plans that we put into motion. And I'm not saying sit idle, don't make goals for yourself. But I think a better thing to do would be, how about we ask God, hey, you are my creator. You know that literally the Bible says that the days written for me were written in your book before one of them came to be, right? So that means what we know about God is that he's intentional and he has a plan for us. How about instead of us going every single year frustrated, irritated because things don't get done, how about we just ask the Lord, hey, what is it that you want me to do? How is it that you want me to do it? What are the plans that you have for this 26 years? And then instead of me trying to strive and do it in my own might and my own understanding with my own resources, I go to God, who is the ultimate provider. And I say, all right, Father, here's the things that you have told me you want me to do this year. And then here's the other thing that he taught me is that oftentimes he'll give us direction, right? He'll tell us, okay, this is what I want you to do. Let me pause real quick. Why is it that God will tell us, I want you to do this, but then we think that after he told us he wants us to do something, we have to figure out for ourselves how to do it, right? So this year, the mistake I'm not making, and I'm praying that you don't make either, is that when God reveals what it is that he reveals, when he gives the answer, when he says, okay, I've called you to start a business, I want you to write a book, or whatever it is that he's calling you to do in this season, I'm calling you to be a mother, I'm calling you to be a wife. How about we ask him for the blueprint for that, right? So align for me this year means that I'm starting the year with God's blueprint, not my blueprint. Align this year means that I am not setting my expectations upon what I want or what I think should happen, but really, what does God want? And I am walking in this year with an assurance because if he said it, right, he's faithful to complete it. So last year, I managed to accomplish some of my goals, but more than anything, it was the things that I didn't even think, you know what, that's not true. It's not things that I didn't even think to put on my list, but God answered the things that meant much more, right? He shifted my viewpoint. Okay, so quick story. I've always been to conferences and things like that, and I have a sister who's big on this. Like she's a coach, she's a business coach, she's a small business coach, and she is a consultant. And one of the things she's always talking about, and if you're like me, you hear this all the time, mindset. You have to shift your mindset. You have to shift your mindset. You have to shift your mindset. Once your mind attracts the things that you want and all of that, right? But if you've been in a negative pattern for a while, or worse yet, if the negative pattern is all that you know. Please and thank you. Can somebody, anybody tell me how I'm supposed to now shift my mindset, right? And I want to say that the Lord did such a supernatural work. I can't explain it. I remember I was at a conference and Tasha Cobbs was talking, and she was saying how you're going to have some experiences. And when people ask you how, you're just going to be like, I don't know how. I don't know when. I can't even pinpoint the moment. But what I know is that I've been changed. And all I can say is God did it. And last year, I don't know how. I can't tell you what day it was. I can't tell you what particular event. I can't tell you what moment it was. But I know that the Lord has shifted my mindset. And because he shifted my mindset, now I'm like, okay, God, because you have a plan for me, a good plan at that, a purpose. You give me hope in the future. I want to see what this year looks like with you at the helm. So I want to invite you on this journey with me this year as I walk out being intentionally aligned with God, right? Listen, it's not always going to be easy, guys, because we want what we want. And there are things that God is going to tell us to do that we're going to be like, I don't want to do that. I'll give you an example, case in point. I have a friend of mine who has a toxic friend. And I don't like to use that term, but sometimes it's appropriate. I have a friend of mine who has a toxic friend in her life. And that toxic friend called her and shared some information with her and was just really bullying her and really being mean to her, right? And I was angry because I'm very protective about the people that I know, the people that I love. Like, where I might let you get away with something that you did to me, don't mess with the ones I love. Like, don't try them. And so I was angry. However, this friend shared some life news with my friends and managed to, as she was expressing her happiness, you know how those people that they're happy only when they can make other people miserable. They're happy only when they can break other people down. Well, this is the kind of friend that my friend had. And so this woman calls her and is sharing some life news about her, but of course trying to make my friend feel bad about everything. And this person is more than a friend, it's actually like my sister. So she's trying to make her feel bad about herself. And I'm like, you can be happy without making people feel bad. Like, just be happy. You don't have to be a jerk. Anyways, I get really riled up. Don't mess with the people I love. Anyway, so as I'm getting mad, the Lord is now giving me insight into this other person's situation and asking me to pray for them. And when I tell you, I had to fight. I had to fight to pray. Because I'm like, well, just let her get a little bit. Because just let her get a little bit of this just dessert. But the thing is, I want somebody to be merciful to me if I ever screw up. If I ever mess up, which I will and I do, I want the person that God calls and tells them pray for her, I want that person to actually pray. So I prayed for the person. Being aligned, you're not always going to feel comfortable doing what God tells you to do, right? Because sometimes the flesh wants what the flesh wants. And again, my flesh wanted vindication. Because I'm like, why would I pray for her when literally my friend was trying to warn her and she was so happy and she wasn't listening. And now you want me to pray for her, especially after she disrespected my friend? Like, no. But I did, because it's more important to me to be aligned with God. It's more important to me to have God happy with me. And at the end of the day, that's God's child, right? The Bible says that he does not desire any shall perish. So who am I to gatekeep, right? So as we're walking this year aligned with God, we're not always going to be happy. We're not always going to want to do what he tells us to do, but we have to ask him for strength. I literally have to say, okay, Father, strengthen me. Even in the areas of the place that I don't want to do certain things, strengthen me so that I can do them, because my goal more than anything is you, right? So I am excited to start this new year. I'm excited to commit all of my work to God. Even this food today, I said, God, I was kind of like going in my head because it's my first time. It's my first time getting in the kitchen before you. And I was like, oh, what should I do? I was going through so many different things. And he literally was like, here's what you do. Here's how to do it. Aligned with God means that he's going to be in control. And for all of us control freaks out there, it's going to take a little bit of time, right? It's going to take a little bit of time for us to actually listen. It's going to take a little bit of time for us to actually trust. But here's the thing that I'm excited about. Last year, God taught me how to really trust him. Before he told me, okay, girl, I need you to be aligned, he taught me how to really trust him. So now I know more than I've ever known before. If he said it, he's faithful to do it, right? No weapons will form. I mean, not will form, weapons will form. But I know after the year that I had last year, that they will not prosper. Like if I am, let me just stop. If I am standing here today, it's nothing but the faithfulness of God. And I've spoken to so many people and it's the same thing. Everybody's like, 2025 was such a hard year, right? So much loss, so much pain, so much of all the things that we didn't want, right? However, I want to say 2025 was the year that I grew the absolute most in my relationship with God. I mean, literally, I have never experienced God the way that I experienced him this year. I have never felt closer to God, which is strange because a lot of times we think that the presence of trouble is the absence of God, except the Bible tells us he's a very present help in time of trouble. He shifted my perspective to understand that just because trouble is there doesn't mean he's not there. He shifted my perspective to be able to seek him really and truly in times of trouble. He shifted my perspective to know that even though it doesn't seem like he's doing anything, and we love to sing that song, even when I don't see it, you're working, right? Until we don't see it. And then we're throwing a tantrum. I mean, so he taught me that, listen, even though you don't see it, doesn't mean I'm not working. And then one of the key things he taught me was that his timing is perfect. I can trust him. When he says, I got you, he's got me. Let me try to put this in a way, like sometimes God gives you a revelation and it's so hard for you to explain it. I remember I was having a situation and I was like, God, I lined up everything about the situation to him, right? I lined up everything and I was like, God, here's A, here's B, here's C, here's D, here's F, here's G, here's all of that. And then he said to me, girl, listen to me. How do I say it? Because I am the author of time, if I haven't moved, it's simply because it's not time. And so for those of us that love to worry, I just want to share that with you. God is your author of time, right? And just because you see everything lining up in front of you, if he has not done it, he's not irresponsible. He's not careless. He hasn't forgotten. He has not fallen asleep. If he hasn't done it, it's time. And we can trust that when he does it, it will be time. All right, yeah, so chicken is our heat is finally hot. So we're just gonna have the chicken in here. I'm just gonna put it for maybe like 4 minutes on each side until it gets a nice pretty color. We are getting to it. Hopefully my kids will love it. Even though I already had one of them tell me today she didn't want to eat stir fry and veggies. So if you have children, you know how it is with these kids. You make something delicious at home and they want Chipotle. So the one that probably would want Chipotle has a job. That's on her. Anyway, so I'm just gonna let my pan heat up a little bit and then we're gonna have our seasoned chicken. Our rice is already going, which is part of the easiest part of the whole entire process. All right, adding the chicken back in after our veggies. cooked. Give that a good stir. And here's my favorite part. So this is just some soy sauce with some chopped garlic, minced garlic, some honey, and a little bit of red pepper flakes because my son does not like anything super spicy. Stir that up and we're good to go.